morning's event. We are currently gathered in the Launch co-working space, a wonderful area supplied by our generous venue sponsor today. For anyone who hasn't explored their spaces, Launch offers mindfully designed spaces with a unique purpose, conveniently located in the south side of Winnipeg, the Exchange, and Osborne Village. Their mission? To go beyond an office to help launch and grow your ideas.
With you, I wish we would stay right here. I got nowhere else to go. I only got you on my mind.
Creative life requires bravery and action, honesty and hard work. We are here to support you and celebrate with you and encourage you to make things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections. In learning from each other, in jazz hands and high fives, we bring people together who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in the neighborhoods and cities all around the world. Everyone is welcome. It's really fitting that this month's theme is depth, because while Liem's creative talents will speak for themselves and are evidenced by his incredible body of work, his true depth is not the awards and stunning visuals, but his generosity of spirit, his willingness to share his knowledge and expertise. Liem is really living proof you can do world-class work right here in Manitoba and kind of be a great person in the process. While I don't visually represent, Liem and I are both Vietnamese, so part of me is incredibly proud when we can shine a spotlight on the contributions that the Vietnamese community make to the province. So Liem, thank you so much for being here. The stage and mic are all yours.
Thank you, John, for the lovely introduction. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Great. My presentation is called 3D Art and Animation, a Hollywood tale on creative depth. So, as John said, my name is Liem, and I'm an Emmy Award-winning 3D animator from Winnipeg. I was born in Vietnam. I came here many years ago, and I've been working in the animation industry for nearly 25 years. During that time, I've had the opportunity to collaborate with other talented individuals and companies from all over the world on a variety of projects. Some of these include visual effects for feature films, TV shows, and video games, such as I've worked on the Italian Job, the Matrix movies, The Core, Superman Returns, X-Men, Catwoman, Scooby-Doo, and Alien Resurrection, to name a few. And it's kind of interesting to see all of these big Hollywood budget movies, and you don't realize that the VFX are done in Winnipeg, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, they're filmed from all over the world, and then the studios would copy the files to tape or digitally send it up here to Winnipeg, and we would work on it here in Winnipeg, and we would be in touch with the producers, directors, supervisors, and we would get credits in these big movies. And people don't realize, for a period of time, Winnipeg was the home to the biggest visual effects studio in all of Canada. The company was called Frantic Films. I worked for them for many years, and it was bigger than any studio in Vancouver or Toronto, and they are still around today. Some other projects I worked on are for TV. I've done a lot of commercials and broadcasts. I've done work for all the major networks in the US. Anytime you watch Hockey Night in Canada or the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals, whenever you see those titles come up on the screen or the opening graphics to them, I worked on them. I also do World Cup every 4 years and Major League Baseball. And speaking of which, I brought a special treat to share with everyone for the end of the presentation. It's in that black box right there on top of the desk. So at the end, I'll show you what it is, and you're welcome to come up and take a closer look at it, take some selfies with it if you want. But yeah, I'll reveal it at the end of the presentation. You might kind of have a clue what it is already. I've done a lot of local work as well. You might have seen some of the billboards or marketing campaigns for the cute recycling characters. I've done TV shows for HGTV, commercials for Cambridge Credit Union, and video games as well. I heard there were some students here who are learning video, motion graphics, 3D, gaming. So yeah, I worked on Ghost Recon and Need for Speed Underground. Actually, I'll take this chance to show you a short demo reel of some of the work that I've done. Thank you. A lot of the times my presentation is geared towards students. I talk about the technical aspects of working in the industry, the software, how to prepare your demo reel and portfolio. But today I really kind of had to think about how depth plays into that. And a lot of the stories that I'll share with you is about how I have to really think deeply about the stuff that I do. But first of all, 3D animation. You saw some samples of it. Can anyone here name some other uses for it? What else is it used for? Just hands up or shout it out. Yes?
Architecture.
Great answer. Architecture. Firms that design buildings or houses, they rely on 3D to make their drawings look realistic, to show the public even before anything is built. Yes?
Is it used in the medical field?
Yes, 3D is used in the medical field a lot for educational purposes, but also for advancing technology and surgery, for example. Anyone else?
It's
Yes.
related, but I think in the dental field as well.
Yeah, totally. I was taking my son to the dentist a few months ago, and I saw them do this cool technique where they have a electronic pen, they stick it in his mouth, and they shine a light. And then I asked them, what is that for? And they say, oh, they're building a 3D model of his teeth. And in the past, I remember having to bite into this soft, gooey stuff to make a mold. But now this pen just records that geometry and recreates it as a 3D model instantly. So it's amazing the technology that they have. So here are some other samples of what 3D can be used for. Video games we mentioned, mobile apps, interactive kiosks. My friend Curtis here has a company where if you walk by a billboard and it detects your motion, you can interact with it. So you can move your hand and play games on the screen. Architecture, someone mentioned, interior design, 3D printing. You can buy a printer that sits on your desktop at home and actually print out physical models of the things you create on the computer these days. So it's really cool. Virtual reality and augmented reality, where you put on these headsets and you're immersed totally in a 3D environment. The software that I used throughout my career, some of the main ones are 3D Studio Max, Maya, Unreal Engine, Unity 3D, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere, and more. A lot of these softwares now are very accessible. Some of them are even free, like Unreal Engine, up until a few years ago, you couldn't really get your hands on. And this is the same software that huge AAA game companies use to make their games, and now it's free for everyone to download and use to play around. You don't really need a fancy, powerful computer. It'll run on most computers that you can just buy at Best Buy these days. So if you are ever interested in learning 3D, it's very easy to pick up. There's a ton of resources online. There's tutorials and forums to answer any questions that you may have. So yeah, and there's a lot of resources in the community as well to help you with that. New Meeting Manitoba being one of them. I went to Sheridan College, a world-renowned animation school located right here in Ontario, Canada. It was funny, someone mentioned in one of their answers earlier about making difficult decisions and conflict, because coming from Vietnam, being from an immigrant family, especially an Asian one, my parents, they had expectations of me to do well in school, focus on academics, and become a doctor or a lawyer. And for the first part of high school, that's what I really focused on. Like, I was in the International Baccalaureate at Calvin High School. I was very focused on getting good grades, but at the same time, I was really interested in art. Like, I constantly drew. I loved anything related to cartoons, animation, anime, video games, and there came a breaking point where I couldn't really pursue both paths anymore. There just wasn't enough time and effort. So I had to make the difficult decision. Do I follow my heart and pursue a career in art, which is definitely not traditionally accepted, or do I follow the path of academics? So I made the decision and I told my parents, and luckily they were very supportive. So I dropped out of the IB program. It was right before exams, so I didn't have to study for exams. That was very good timing. And I really focused on art. I found out, I researched where is the best place to learn animation in the whole world. And coincidentally, Canada is home to Sheridan College, which is one of the best places, if not the best place. It's located in Oakville, Ontario. and I got into the program. We had instructors from Disney, DreamWorks, Warner Brothers, and Nelvana. I'm not sure if Pixar was around at the time, but yeah, I went to school a long time ago. And Sheridan grads were famous. They were known for being pioneers in the CG animation industry. And they went on to develop some of the technology that you see in movies such as Jurassic Park and other big budget movies. So I get into the school and I arrive there, I walk down the hallways and I see all these famous movie posters hanging up on the wall representing the movies that Sheridan grads before me had worked on. Like I said, there's Jurassic Park, The Mask, Terminator 2. Like all of these were movies that I respected growing up. But I was surprised to find out on the first day of class when my instructor says that we weren't even going to touch a computer until the 4th year. Instead, we got pencils and papers. And that's what we used for the first 3 years of school. The reason being, I learned that you have to think of the computer as just another tool, like a pencil or a paintbrush. And without a strong foundation in art, and without a deeper understanding of the fundamentals, even the most powerful computer or the best software in the world can't help you. When you watch a Pixar animated movie, it's easy to get attached to the characters, right? Like, creative depth is a valuable quality to have as a 3D animator. Animating is not just about making things move, it's about bringing characters to life. Like, the software will literally take a ball that you put at point A and draw all of the in-betweens to point B. But you, as an animator, really have to think of ways to bring your character or performance to life. I still have a bunch of the textbooks that I used at Sheridan. And if you look at it, you can see we covered topics such as life drawing, cinematography, theater and acting, lighting, art history, film history, storyboarding, and script writing. And normally you wouldn't think that these are courses that you would need to learn 3D animation, but they're all very important. So for example, we had life drawing classes for 3 hours every day. I remember coming home after a long day of life drawing and my hand would be black from all the charcoal and conte and it would be stiff and sore. But the emphasis was learning how to draw the human form, about studying anatomy. We had a full-size skeleton in every classroom. Our instructors made us understand and know every single bone, every single muscle in the human body, where it starts, where it ends, what function it has, the shape that it is in. We had a field trip to a morgue to see a cadaver in real life, and yeah, that was quite a scary experience. But yeah, so these are some of the things that you don't realize go into becoming an animator. And why is this important? Because even though nowadays I may be creating a sci-fi robot or a monster in a fantasy game, like these things don't exist in real life, but they still obey the same rules of physics and anatomy. I can 3D model and rig and animate a realistic shoulder joint of any type of character if I really understand how the human shoulder works. And speaking of which, the human shoulder is amazing. If you ever look into it, there's a lot of things going on there. But yeah, it totally helps. So before my pencil even ever touches paper, I take some time to reflect and to analyze on my subject. Being aware of the facts and information about the scene is good, but always dig deeper. Here's another example. For the movie Catwoman, which I worked on when I was at Frantic Films, it starred Halle Berry, can't remember who, Sharon Stone. I watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of cat footage, and we had dozens of cats just wandering around the studio. It was quite a scene. But you can see here, we studied big cats, small cats, them doing various actions, and just really learning how they move, their cadence, and taking that and applying it to the human form and seeing what that would look like. At the end of the presentation, I actually have this video footage and some of the early animation tests. If you're interested in seeing it, I can play it. It's like 4 or 5 minutes long, so I won't play it now. But it's behind the scenes stuff that is never seen before. It's just kind of done as research for the movie. So to be a good animator, people always say an animator is really just like an actor who is shy, an actor who's behind the camera as opposed to in front of the camera. To be a good animator, you have to act out in front of a mirror. Every animator at their desk should have a mirror so that they can do the poses or the facial expressions just to get into character. To be a good animator, you have to study reference shots. You have to look at other examples. You have to watch a lot of movies and TV shows. And that's the part I love. Whenever I'm watching movies or TV shows or playing games, I can tell my wife that I'm just, doing research for a project. And they're all write-offs too. What else? And yeah, just totally immerse yourself in the story. Going back to Catwoman as an example, we based Halle Berry's fight choreography on capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial arts. And I visited a gym in person just to see some of these people do these amazing moves. And it was very fluid. We took footage of it, we studied it, and I tried to recreate it again with the Catwoman character. And this is part of the video that I can show you at the end. So the key is to try to find purpose in every move and every expression and every action you make. This applies to the world beyond animation. You may notice things that are overlooked by others. You may find joy in mundane tasks. Over time, this in-depth approach will teach you to see the world differently. And that's my presentation. So if you have any questions,